Jarrod Schulz became widely known through reality television, where he was portrayed as part of a charismatic duo navigating the competitive world of storage auctions. On screen, he and his partner were framed as underdogs with limited resources but strong instincts, competing against seasoned buyers with deeper pockets. This contrast helped make their story appealing to audiences who enjoyed watching unlikely success stories unfold. Their chemistry, banter, and occasional disagreements gave the show a sense of authenticity that viewers connected with. Over time, Jarrod's public image shifted from a struggling entrepreneur to a recognizable television personality associated with hustle and risk-taking. However, behind the edited episodes and entertainment value was a far more complicated personal history that included legal troubles, financial instability, and difficult choices made long before fame arrived. The contrast between his television persona and real-life struggles would later become central to understanding the challenges that followed him throughout his career and personal life. Early legal troubles and a turning point in youth long before television exposure. Jarrod Schulz reportedly experienced significant legal difficulties in his early adulthood. In the late 1990s, he was arrested in connection with drug-related charges, including possession of methamphetamine, according to public accounts. This period marked a serious turning point in his life, as it was not an isolated incident but part of a broader pattern of risky behavior. Initially, he was given what appeared to be a lenient sentence, including jail time and probation, but the situation escalated shortly after his release when he was arrested again within a short period. This second incident involved additional charges, including driving under the influence and possession issues, which led authorities to take a stricter stance. The court ultimately sentenced him to a longer term in state prison, signaling a shift from rehabilitation attempts to incarceration. These early events shaped the foundation of his reputation and later influenced how people viewed his eventual success in business and entertainment. Time in prison and the realization of consequences during his 16-month sentence in state prison, Jarrod Schulz was exposed to a harsh environment that reportedly influenced his outlook on life. Unlike local jail settings, state prison placed him among individuals convicted of serious offenses, creating a stark contrast that forced reflection on his own decisions. Accounts suggest that this period made him aware of how quickly repeated mistakes could lead to long-term consequences. Being removed from normal life, family connections, and future opportunities gave him time to reconsider the direction he was heading. While prison is often described as a difficult and sometimes dangerous environment, it also became a moment of forced pause for him. He later emerged with a stated desire to avoid returning to that system, carrying with him both the stigma of a felony record and a determination to rebuild. However, the psychological and behavioral impact of incarceration does not disappear easily, and those early patterns of stress response would later resurface under pressure. Rebuilding life and meeting Brandy Passante after his release, Jarrod Schulz attempted to rebuild his life through steady employment and more conventional work. Around the late 1990s, he reportedly found a job in sales within a carpet cleaning business, which provided a more stable foundation than his earlier ventures. It was during this period that he met Brandy Passante, who would become a central figure in both his personal and professional life. Their relationship developed quickly, and they eventually formed a family together, welcoming children in the early 2000s. Brandy was often described as someone who supported his efforts to move forward despite his past, and together they created a partnership that combined family life with entrepreneurial ambition. Over time, their relationship became more than romantic. It also became a working collaboration that would later translate into their shared presence on television. This period represented a rare sense of stability, though financial pressures and external challenges were never far from the surface. Financial growth, mortgage business, and economic collapse during the housing boom of the early 2000s, Jarrod Schulz reportedly entered the mortgage business, which initially provided significant financial opportunity. Like many entrepreneurs during that period, he benefited from a strong real estate market where lending and property investment were expanding rapidly. For a time, this venture appeared successful, allowing him to move beyond entry-level employment into a more ambitious financial position. However, the economic collapse that followed the housing crash had devastating consequences. As the market declined, his business reportedly lost stability, clients disappeared, and income streams dried up. The collapse not only affected him financially, but also emotionally, as it undermined his belief that he had permanently escaped his earlier instability. With a family to support and limited options, he faced renewed uncertainty. This failure became another turning point, reinforcing the unpredictability of financial success and setting the stage for his eventual entry into storage auctions as a last resort opportunity. Discovery of storage auctions and the path to television after the collapse of his mortgage-related business, Jarrod Schulz was introduced to storage auctions through a family connection who suggested it as a way to generate income. The concept involved purchasing abandoned storage units in hopes of finding valuable items to resell. Although initially viewed as a small-scale side opportunity, it gradually became a more serious pursuit. Together with Brandy Passante, he began participating in auctions regularly, developing strategies and learning how to assess potential value quickly. Their presence in this niche market eventually attracted the attention of television producers, leading to their inclusion in a reality series focused on storage auction buyers. This moment marked the transition from private entrepreneurship to public entertainment. What started as a financial survival tactic unexpectedly became the foundation for a national television career, transforming their everyday struggles into content viewed by millions and changing the trajectory of their lives in ways they could not have predicted. Break through success and life as reality television stars. When the show premiered, Jarrod Schulz and Brandy Passante quickly became standout figures due to their dynamic interactions and relatable struggles. They were often portrayed as energetic, competitive, and resourceful, earning them a strong fan following. The program itself achieved impressive ratings, drawing millions of viewers and becoming one of the network's most successful nonfiction series. As their popularity grew, so did their financial rewards, with reports suggesting substantial earnings per episode and additional opportunities from public appearances. Their relationship, often filled with humor and tension, became a central part of the show's appeal. They were branded as a couple navigating both business and personal life under public scrutiny. At the height of their fame, they even received a spin-off focusing on their shared life and work. For a time, it appeared that they had achieved a rare combination of financial success, public recognition, and family stability, though underlying pressures continued to build. Business ventures and ongoing financial struggles despite their television success. Jarrod Schulz and Brandy Passante also attempted to build independent business ventures outside of entertainment. They opened thrift store locations, hoping to create a long-term source of income that would not rely on television production. Initially, these businesses benefited from their public visibility, drawing curiosity and customers. However, maintaining profitability proved more difficult than expected. One location reportedly closed within a year, while another survived longer but eventually shut down as well. These closures highlighted the gap between televised success and real-world business sustainability. Even with a strong fan base and media exposure, operating a retail business required consistent margins, effective management, and stable market conditions. The repeated financial setbacks echoed earlier experiences in Jarrod's life, reinforcing a pattern of building opportunities that later collapsed under pressure. While television provided income, it did not fully shield them from the realities of business risk and operational challenges. Relationship breakdown and personal distance over the years, the relationship between Jarrod Schulz and Brandy Passante began to deteriorate, reportedly due to long-term personal differences and accumulated stress from business and family responsibilities. Although they continued working together professionally for a period, their personal separation eventually became public knowledge. Brandy later confirmed that they had split several years before the information became widely discussed. Despite the separation, they maintained a working relationship for the sake of their shared television roles and business obligations. However, their on-screen interactions became noticeably more distant, reflecting the shift in their personal connection. The end of their relationship also meant a significant change in family dynamics, particularly for their children, who were growing into adulthood during this period. For Jarrod, the breakup represented not only the loss of a long-term partner, but also the collapse of a central emotional and professional support system that had defined much of his adult life. Alleged bar incident and legal fallout in 2021, reports emerged of a confrontation involving Jarrod Schulz and Brandy Passante at a bar in Orange County. According to accounts from that time, an argument escalated between the two after a chance encounter, leading to a physical altercation claim. It was alleged that law enforcement became involved after witnesses reported a disturbance. Jarrod reportedly denied the accusations, while legal proceedings moved forward with misdemeanor domestic violence-related charges. The incident attracted significant public attention due to their long history together and their shared television fame. It also marked a turning point in how the public perceived him, shifting focus away from his career achievements and toward personal conduct. While legal outcomes are separate from allegations, the situation contributed to increased scrutiny and media coverage. This moment represented one of the most serious reputational challenges he faced, compounding earlier struggles and affecting his professional standing in the entertainment industry. Career decline, television exit, and withdrawal from public view following the controversy, Jarrod Schulz's presence on the television series diminished significantly, and he eventually ceased appearing on the show altogether. Although some episodes aired after the incident had occurred, later seasons continued without him, signaling an unofficial but clear separation from the franchise. His departure marked the end of more than a decade of visibility in reality television. At the same time, his public image shifted, with fewer media appearances and limited social media activity. Outside of entertainment, he reportedly focused on running a bar business in California, which became his primary professional endeavor. This transition represented a move away from celebrity life into a more private, locally based business role. While he maintained some public recognition, it was no longer tied to television success. Instead, conversations about him increasingly centered on past events rather than ongoing achievements, reflecting a broader decline in his mainstream visibility. Family life, children, and long-term impact of public scrutiny. Jarrod Schulz's personal life remains closely connected to his children, who grew up during periods of both fame and controversy. Cameron and Peyton experienced their formative years while their parents were active on television, dealing with both the benefits and challenges of public exposure. As they reached adulthood, they also witnessed the separation of their parents and the legal difficulties that followed. This combination of visibility and personal instability likely shaped their experience of family life in complex ways. For Jarrod, maintaining a relationship with his children remains an important aspect of his personal identity, even as public attention has shifted elsewhere. The long-term impact of fame, business failures, and legal issues continues to influence how his life is perceived. His story reflects how public success and private struggles can intersect, leaving lasting effects on both personal relationships and reputation. Reflection on a life of highs, lows, and unresolved questions, the story of Jarrod Schulz is often framed as a dramatic rise and fall, shaped by early mistakes, sudden fame, and later controversies. From legal troubles in youth to reality television success, followed by business failures and personal conflict, his life reflects a series of turning points that rarely remained stable for long. While he experienced moments of financial success and public recognition, those achievements were frequently accompanied by underlying instability. His journey raises broader questions about change, accountability, and whether individuals can fully escape their past behaviors. It also highlights how fame can amplify both success and failure in equal measure. Today, his life continues outside the spotlight, centered more on private business and personal relationships than media attention. Ultimately, his story remains a complex mix of opportunity, consequence, and unresolved public debate about transformation and whether lasting change is truly achievable.